Okay, this is a short look at the idea of risk and experimental probability. So we're going to look at a situation where Sarah has been getting indigestion and she thinks that it might be that her indigestion is caused by her eating cheeseburgers. So we're going to do an analysis on it to see whether that's true. So she, for 100 days, recorded if she'd eaten a cheeseburger or not and whether she got indigestion or not. And we're going to look at whether or not eating cheeseburgers makes a difference in her likelihood of getting indigestion. All right, so first of all, we want to find the absolute probability that she gets indigestion. So for this one, we're looking at the total number of days and if she gets indigestion or not. So to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to actually just ignore a big chunk of this data. We don't care about any of this stuff here, because all we care about is does she get indigestion or not, out of how many. Right, so what we're going to do is that the total chance of getting indigestion the total risk of indigestion is quite simply 29 over 100. Okay, because there's 29 times she gets it out of 100. And that's what's called the relative frequency, or the experimental probability. Right. The next thing that we'd know is what's the risk that she gets indigestion if she eats a cheeseburger. So now we only care about... We only care about if she eats a cheeseburger. Right, so we're just looking at these ones here. And so now we've got 9 out of 25 is her risk of indigestion. Risk of indigestion when eating cheeseburgers. All right, and so this time it's 9 out of 25. All right, and if we wanted to, we could make that into a decimal, which is actually really useful for these ones to do that as a decimal. So 9 out of 25 is 36 or 0.36. 0.36. Okay, now we know what's the risk of her getting indigestion when she doesn't eat a cheeseburger. So this one's 20 out of 75. Out of 75, which when we convert that to a fraction, to a decimal, is 0.267. All right. So what we look at now is the risk of getting indigestion increased if she eats a cheeseburger? And so what we'll do for that is we find the relative risk. The relative risk just means we take the risk of it happening divided by the risk of it happening with the cheeseburger divided by the risk of it happening without the cheeseburger. So here we're going to get 0.36 divided by 0.267, and that comes out to roughly 1.359. So what that means is that there's a 1.349 or 1.35, right? So what that means is that there's roughly a 35% higher chance of getting indigestion if you've eaten a cheeseburger than if she hasn't. So that's what the relative risk is, and we need to be able to describe what that number is in order to be able to get the merit and higher grades.